Teaching me the game, Ghost.
You still don't even see me for who I really am. This is me.
You ready? Ready to become my own man.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, it's your homie Futuristic Mike, and I'm back with another Power Book 2 Ghost video if you're new. Now, this is going to be the recap for Power Book 2 Ghost, Season 1, Episode 1, The Stranger. If you're a fan of Power, if you love Power, hit the like on this video. If you're new to my channel and this is the first time you're finding me, subscribe and turn on those post notifications so when I post videos on Power Book 2 Ghost, you get them. Man, this first episode was crazy. It was fire for real, it really was. It was worth the wait. Power Book 2 Ghost was supposed to come out in June of 2020. When Power Season 6 went off, that's when we were told that Power Book 2 Ghost was gonna come on, and then the corona happened. So it was a little wait. It got delayed and everything, but I gotta say, it was worth the wait. This first episode was fire, man. I really enjoyed it. Now, I gotta say, it was kind of weird without Ghost and Tommy. It had a different feel to it, but it still felt like Power. It still had that Power music in the background. It still had the same Power feels to it. It gave me nothing but Power vibes, so I really loved that part about it. We still had some of the same characters, so it's not like we were going into a completely different show. Yes, it felt like its own show in many different ways, but, you know, it's still Power, and I really enjoyed this first episode. I'm not gonna hold y'all up too much. Let's just get right into it and talk about it. I'm gonna try to cover all the key points. I'm just gonna talk about it from beginning to end. So when the episode first starts, Tariq is in his room and he's getting a text from Simon Stern. It says, "Meeting at Dean's office, 10:30 a.m. Don't be late." But you already know, your boy Tariq definitely will be late. But it shows Tariq getting dressed just like how it showed Ghost getting dressed in the first ever episode of Power. Ghost was getting dressed, looking in the mirror and everything, so this kind of reminded me of the first ever episode of Power. Now we see Tariq, he got his name tag on, he puts it on, it says Stanfield University, Tariq St. Patrick, student 2020 to 2024. Tariq is actually lucky because he was just in high school. He's lucky Simon Stern is pulling some strings for him so he can get into Stansfield. This is making it way easier for him to get that inheritance, because if it wasn't for Simon Stern, his ass would still be in high school and, you know, he wouldn't be getting that money anytime soon. Then we see Tasha and she's walking down this hallway. It's this tunnel going from the prison to the court or whatever, and this guard is walking her, and this guard is talking all types of shit. She's saying like, you know, I think you're guilty and I know you'll be back here. And she's just cracking on Tasha pretty much. She thinks Tasha is guilty and she thinks that she killed her husband. She doesn't believe a word any inmates say because she gets inmates coming out of here left and right all the time, in and out. And in her mind, Tasha will be back. Then we get to Tariq and he's talking to Big Mama, the grandma, and Yasmin is standing there, and pretty much the grandma is just telling Tariq like, you need to come and stay with me. Tariq is telling her that he got stuff to worry about. He has to try to take care of his mother and Yaz and everything. He has stuff to do. He doesn't really want to do this, but later on we see that he ends up staying with the grandma anyways. Now Tamika walks up. She's gonna be representing Tasha, and she's introducing herself to Tariq and Yasmin because Tariq has never met Tamika before. So she's pretty much just letting Tariq know what's gonna be happening in the court, that Tasha has to confess and tell the whole truth and everything that happened, and this is what she wants to do. Now when we get to court, Tamika is trying to paint this bad picture of Ghost. She's trying to say that he was a monster of untold proportions and he was a murdering, drug-dealing son of a bitch and all types of stuff, and the judge isn't believing it. She isn't having it. She said, I'm supposed to believe that the Democratic Party for lieutenant governor was this bad of a person. You know, the judge wasn't really having it at all. It seemed like Tamika was putting up a pretty good argument, and it seemed like Tasha was gonna get out of jail. But then the judge said that she has to stay in jail and she has no bond and everything. So the grandma starts freaking out. You know, Yasmin says to Tariq, is mommy coming home? Tariq says not yet. And this right here is when Tariq knows that he has to do something about it. Then we get to Tamika, Tasha, and the prosecutor. They're trying to negotiate a deal. Tamika pulls out all these pictures of murders that James St. Patrick supposedly committed. But we all know who killed Lakeisha. That was Tasha, because when they pulled out the Lakeisha picture, Tasha looked all weird. Of course, she's not gonna say that she did it, but she tried to blame all the murders on Ghost. She says that she knows she would have been next. I gotta say that Tasha is one dirty person, and karma's gonna come around to get her eventually. She's done a lot of dirt, and we're gonna talk about exactly why I think karma is gonna come around to get her at the very end of this video, because she does something that's crazy. I can't believe she did what she did, and we're gonna talk about it later in this video. Now, this part when we seen Tariq running in the trailer, I thought he was running late to class, but he was running late for his meeting with Simon Stern. He was meeting with Simon Stern and this lady right here. They're talking about his admission to Stansfield. They're talking about what he's gonna be doing. And then she says that he has to tutor this guy named Ezekiel Cross, or Zeke Cross. And this guy is gonna be his roommate. Then she tells Tariq that it's time for him to meet his advisor, and this is gonna be Caridad Milgram. So he goes and tries to look for his advisor's office, and this is a big campus, so he gets lost. And this is when Lauren, your girl, Lauren Baldwin, pops up, and Tariq meets her for the first time. They start talking, and she tells him that there's really only like 4 black kids in the class. And he's like, what do you mean, like 4 black kids? And she ends up naming off some kids. She says it's her, 2 other kids, and then she says, and then there's Richard. It's like he got dipped in chocolate, but the inside doesn't match. She had jokes right from the start. She had me weak. And I really love Paige Hurd. I made a video on this recently. You guys know how much I love Paige Hurd, so I love to see her on the screen, even though I know Tariq's gonna be trying to steal my girl. But anyways, Tariq asks for her name. She tells him Lauren, and then she says, I hope to see you in class. So it seems like these two are definitely gonna be dating, or at least liking each other in the future. Then we get to Caridad Milgram's office, and Tariq starts talking to her. They get to know each other. You know, this is gonna be his counselor, basically. Then she assigns him this book called The Stranger. And I imagine this is why the episode is called The Stranger, because he has to read this book in like a day or something like that. And then he has to present something in front of Caridad, Jabari Reynolds, and then this dude Oliver. Then we get to Tamika and Tasha in the little room where the lawyer meets the client and stuff like that. And Tamika is telling Tasha, like, look, I got you a deal. You getting up out of here. She tells her like 3 or 4 years probation or something like that. No jail time. But there's one condition. Tasha has to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. And of course, she's not willing to do this. And Tamika's like, there was somebody there with you, wasn't there? Was it your son? And then Tasha, she just has that look on her face. Tamika knows that Tariq was there. Based off Tasha's face, it was so obvious. And Tasha didn't want to tell the truth, so she fired Tamika. And I think this was a really bad move on Tasha's part, but it might have played out in her favor because she ends up getting Davis McClain later on. We're going to talk about it, but it seems like he's a really good lawyer, and I know he's going to get Tasha off. Then Tamika calls Tariq and tells Tariq that Tasha fired her, and Tariq is freaking out, like, why would she do that? Once again, this is when Tariq realizes even more that he needs to help his mother. He needs to do whatever he can to help her get out of prison. So Tariq goes and sits in court, and he tries to scope out lawyers. He tries to see which is the best lawyer in the city, and he sits in front of Davis McClain, and he hears how he speaks. He hears how he talks to the jury and everything like that, and he knows that this is the lawyer that he wants. So then he goes out in the hallway and he tries to talk to Davis McClain, and he's like, I want to hire you. At first, Davis McClain is like, look, I'm in a hurry and I don't got time for people who want pictures. And he's like, man, it's not even about that. I want to hire you. How much is it going to be? And he's like, you don't even got it. So Tariq keeps pressure on him, and then he says $500K cash liquid up front. You get that, then we'll talk. Then we get to the grandma. She's talking to Tariq. Tariq is stressing out because Tasha is in prison and he needs to do whatever he has to do to get her out. He got that call from Tamika, and now he knows that he has to help Tasha. So he's stressing out. He's telling the grandma that, look, I gotta help you and Yaz. I gotta do whatever I gotta do. The grandma is just trying to help Tariq. She's just trying to speak some wisdom to Tariq. Tariq don't want to listen. He wants to do his own thing. So he asked the grandma about the daycare, about the books that Tasha kept and stuff like that, because he wants to look in there. So he ends up looking in the books for the daycare, and he ends up finding a baby picture, and it's that girl Epiphany that used to drop her baby off late and everything. He wants her contact because he knows that she used to move weight for Tasha, so he's gonna try to go move some weight to make some extra ends. So then Tasha calls Big Mama and Tariq gets on the phone. You know, he doesn't want the grandma to hear, so he goes upstairs and he asks Tasha about that girl that used to come to the daycare, that used to work late and everything. And Tasha's like, look, you don't even need to worry about that. Just focus on school. That's all I need you to do. I need you to concentrate on school. Don't worry about nothing else. And we knew that Tariq wasn't gonna listen. He needs to get his mother out of jail. Next we see Caridad Milgram. She goes and talks to Jabari Reynolds. Basically what this meeting was about, it was about Tariq. She wanted to speak good things about Tariq and see if Jabari could take the time to try to get to know Tariq and listen to him and everything like that. And he wasn't having it. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to bend the rules. He seen that Tariq was in high school just a couple weeks ago, and he doesn't want to do things any differently than they've been done. So Caridad says, don't make this about you and me. So I assume that Jabari and Carrie used to date at some point in time back in the day. I don't know, that hasn't been confirmed, but it just seems like that. And then he says that he'll give the kid a chance if he impresses him, and he says which he won't. Jabari was being kind of a dick, but I feel like he's gonna come around eventually. Next we get to Tariq. He's waiting outside the strip club where Epiphany works. She walks past Tariq. She's like, where do I know you from? And he says that you used to bring your kid to Tasha's daycare where my mom used to work. And she's like, oh yeah, that's where I used to know you from. So then they talk about business, and then she ends up telling him that she'll end up taking product off him, but he has to find his own product. Then we get to your boy, Brayden. Tariq just comes up in the room like it's nothing. He doesn't even act surprised to see Brayden or nothing. So I'm just confused at this point, because I feel like if he were to see Brayden after all this time, wouldn't he be surprised or act happy or whatever? He just comes in the room like it's nothing, unless they talked before Tariq came in the room. I'm just assuming that maybe they talked, they texted or whatever before Tariq came in the room, because I'm just assuming that they kept in touch all this time. That has to be what it is, because Tariq didn't act surprised at all. But then he was like, man, what are you doing at Stansfield? And I guess Brayden's parents built the auditorium and they built a whole bunch of stuff at this school. So he's just there to get his education because of his parents, but he's basically there to have fun. He wants Tariq to chill and have fun. Tariq says that he has a whole bunch of work to do, and Brayden's like, man, I understand, I get it, but college is basically for fun. Tariq says, yeah, you're right about that. So I feel like eventually Brayden is going to be kind of a bad influence on Tariq. Tariq's going to try to keep his head in the books and everything, but I feel like Brayden's going to want to go out and party and stuff. Then we get to Effie. Tariq's waiting at Effie's spot. I guess she got into Yale because Brayden told Tariq that she got into Yale. So Tariq pops up at her crib, and she basically tells Tariq that she had to do what she had to do. She had to take out the competition. It wasn't personal, it was just business. So then Tariq takes the product that Effie had, and she says, what, you're not gonna pay me for that? And he says, it's not personal, Effie, it's just business. I was like, damn, Tariq really got her though. Then we get to Tariq. He's meeting Carrie, Jabari, and Oliver. They're talking to him about that book, The Stranger. He's trying to talk about it like he actually read it, and then he ends up admitting that he didn't read it. So the dude Oliver gets kind of pissed. He's like, thanks for being honest, I guess. So then they have a meeting about Tariq in the office, and they all talk about him, and Oliver's not wanting to give Tariq a chance at all. And then Carrie has Tariq's back to the fullest. You know, this is going to be Tariq's counselor, and she wants nothing but the best for Tariq. And I can already see that she's going to be such a good influence on Tariq. She says Tariq's mother is on trial for the murder of his father. We don't know what else Tariq had to do yesterday. If he didn't get a chance to read it, there had to have been a reason. So let's give him another chance. He deserves a second shot. I really like Carrie so far. I really do. Caridad is actually a really good character so far on this show. Then we get to Tasha. She has a public defender come in there, and I just gotta say that this girl right here is something else. You know, she is just something else. She's ditzy, she don't know what she's doing, and she was just all around goofy. She didn't have her paperwork in order, she didn't know what she was talking about. But then the prosecutor comes in and she says, look Tasha, you need to stop lying. The shooter was between 5'11" and 6'2". I guess the forensics came back or something, and it told how tall the shooter was. It told details about the shooter. So then the prosecutor says that you need to tell the truth right now. So the public defender is like, I would tell the truth if I was you. So she names Andre Coleman. So at this point, they're gonna go check out the Andre Coleman story to see if it's the truth. Then we get to Cooper Sax walking in his office, and John Mock's in there. Also Stephen Ott from Power Season 6, and they're basically trying to tell Cooper Sax, like, look, you need to put the Kingpin statue on Tasha. They're telling him that he needs to make this stick on Tasha, and he's mad about this idea because he knows Tasha wasn't in charge of everything. He's like, but Tasha was not the boss. But John Mock threatens him and says, I got you this job and I can take it away. So I think that right there is what got him to think about it, and later on, he definitely ends up doing what they said. Then Tariq tries to get into his new dorm, and it's funny because this is when Tariq meets Zeke, and Zeke is clapping some cheeks. He's in there smashing some chick, and she's like, can you tell him to get out? And Zeke's like, man, I'm just gonna need 15 more minutes. And then he holds his hand up and he whispers and says, no, I'm gonna need 5. This dude Zeke already had me weak. Then we get to Sax, and he walks in some big ass house, and I guess he was going to see his family, and we know that he did not want to see his family at all, because before he went up the steps, he said, oh God. He was dreading seeing them so bad, because I guess he feels like he always has something to prove when it comes to his family, because his family was kind of talking shit. And then he said, I am the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District. He had to let them know straight up. Then we see Sax, his brother, and his dad talking in this room after dinner. And, you know, they're just talking. The dad's drunk. He ends up leaving. And Sax and his brother are talking. They get in an argument because his brother just thinks Sax is a fuck up. He tells him that he knows he's gonna mess up this job as the U.S. Attorney. And he basically says, come and holler at me when you need me to hire you. So Sax was not happy at all that he had to come to this dinner. You know, he had to deal with a whole bunch of bullshit. We can see that he doesn't get along with his family real well, especially his brother. And then we get to Tariq and Zeke. This is Zeke's family's house, and he basically wants to take Tariq over to his family's house. This is pretty much an acceptance party. You know, they're happy for Zeke. And they also want to invite Tariq over and meet him and thank him because he's going to be tutoring Zeke. You know, he's going to be helping Zeke keep his grades up. So they get in the house and the party is live. It's lit up in there. You know, the music is playing. They got a whole bunch of people up in there. People are dancing, eating. People are getting all types of plates of food. They got all types of food up in here. Zeke is just saying what's up to everybody. They got a whole cake up in here for Zeke. You know, it looks like it's a good ass time up at this party. So Zeke is just telling Tariq about the family and everything, you know, how they get down. And then Tariq asks where the bathroom's at. So then Zeke tells him where the bathroom is. He said it's towards the front of the house. Tariq tries to go into the bathroom, and this dude Kane is in there. He's getting sucked off by some chick. And this is funny, the first time we meet Kane on the show, you know, he's getting some action. So then Zeke comes out to the backyard, and you know, he's dancing and everything. You know, he's making his entrance into the backyard. We see Drew. This is the first time we see Drew, and he's like, hey, what's up, my boy? And then Tariq gets introduced to Drew, and it seems like Drew really isn't feeling Tariq right away. He's giving Tariq that look like, man, I don't know if I trust this dude right away. And then Zeke wants Tariq to come over there and meet somebody, Diana. So then Tariq goes and he gets introduced to Diana, and right off the jump, you can tell by how Tariq and Diana are looking at each other that they're feeling each other, and especially Diana. You can tell that she's feeling your boy Tariq right from the jump. So then we see Kane walk out into the backyard, and Tariq is like, man, I just seen him in the bathroom. He was getting busy with some chick. And Diana was like, yeah, that's just my brother right there. And then some dude is looking for Kane. Apparently, you know, Kane was with this dude's girl. So he's questioning Kane about his girl, like, man, where's my girl at? So then she comes outside, and Kane's like, oh, you mean her. So they're just arguing and whatnot. They're arguing back and forth about this girl. And then Monet comes outside and she's like, what the hell is going on out here? And then you hear somebody say, dang, that's Monet. So it seems like Monet got some clout. People knows what she does, and people fear Monet and the Tejada family. That's just what it seems like off rip. So then Kane and this dude are arguing back and forth. This dude tries to steal on Kane. He tries to punch him. Kane weaves his shit, and then he pops him. And it seems like Kane knows what he's doing. Seems like he got that work. And nobody should be messing with Kane, because it seems like he's been doing this for a while. His character description said he has to uphold his dad's reputation, and we can definitely see that, man. We can see that he definitely holds his dad's reputation when it comes to the street life, because we see already, as soon as we get introduced to Kane, we see he's about that life. So then this dude says to his girl, "You need to come with me right now." And she says, "I think I'ma stay." So then this dude gets mad. He goes down the driveway, he leaves, and Monet says he'll be back. And Kane says, yeah, he's just gonna go get something. And we know exactly what that something is. He's gonna try to go get a piece. And Monet says, you know what to do. So Tariq is still talking to Diana, and she's just talking about normal stuff. And he's like, man, what? You ain't worried about what's going on around here? And she's like, man, it's just a normal night with this family. She said, this is normal, trust me. So then we see Tariq and Diana in the house, and she's pretty much telling him about her family. He gets shown a picture of Monet, Lorenzo, her and her two brothers. She said it's just her, Kane, and Drew. She's telling Tariq that her dad, Lorenzo, is locked up. She's telling him that they're black and Puerto Rican. And Tariq's asking what he's locked up for. And she says, what do you think? So Tariq knows right from the jump that he's probably locked up for murder or drugs. And then he tells her that his mom is locked up too for a murder that she didn't commit. They think that she murdered his father. So they're just getting to know each other, and it's so obvious that they're gonna be involved in the future. Then we see Monet talking to this dude in the front yard. He came back with a gun. Monet said, you need to get out of here before he blows your head off, because then we see Kane walking out from the backyard with a shotgun, and I'm talking about a double barrel shotgun. This dude ain't playing. And then the cops roll up, and apparently this is a cop that Monet knows. It's the dude that we seen from the trailer that Monet is gonna have in her back pocket. I think she's real close to him, and they have some type of relationship. I don't know if she has a romantic relationship with him since her husband is locked up. I don't know what's going on, or if she just goes to him for information. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But this family means serious business. And then Tariq tells Diana that he has to go. He tells her to tell Zeke that he has to go, and she says, oh, okay, I'll see you then. And Drew looks at Diana like, really? Because he sees right from the jump that Diana is feeling your boy Tariq. Then we get to Sax and Tamika, and of course Sax is messing up like he always does. He's saying to Tamika, I got a hypothetical for you. He says, what if someone were to see somebody of power at the crime scene? And then Tamika knew something was up. She said, Sax, what the hell did you do? And he's like, no, I didn't do anything. I'm just saying it's a hypothetical. And she knows that he's lying. She says if she has to testify, then she's gonna have to testify and tell everybody what she knows. And Sax is like, no, you don't have to. And then she kicks Sax out. He keeps trying to talk to Tamika, and she claps her hands and says, I don't know you. She was real pissed off. It seems like Sax is always pissing somebody off. He's always messing up. And we see that Tamika is getting tired of Sax's shit. Then Braden's at the strip club. Braden's trying to get into something. He's throwing money up at the strippers. And then it's funny because he wanted to throw some more cash and give the strippers tips and stuff like that. And he said he only had a card that his mom gave him. Now, if you're at a strip club and you're trying to get a stripper to feel you and stuff like that, why would you say that your mom gave you a card? I was weak, man, because Braden is so goofy. He's such a fool. I was weak as hell, man. Then we see Tariq talking to Epiphany, and they're just talking about business, and she tells Tariq that she'll call him when she has the product moved and stuff like that. Then we see Tasha in her jail cell, and she's just sitting there thinking about what to do. And then we see your boy from earlier in the episode, the one that was trying to fight Kane. He's at his job. He's walking up the steps. It looks like he worked some construction job or something. Kane's coming from up the steps. He shoots him, man, with a silencer. So we can see that this family does not play at all. He shoots him twice, and then he comes down the stairs, and then he shoots him again. Next thing you know, you see Kane coming outside. He gets in the car with Monet, and Monet sent him to do this. So it's pretty much like a mother and son operation. They're some straight criminals. They work together. They do everything together. She knows about what he does. You know, he knows about what she does. It's a partnership. They work together on everything they do. She even wipes the blood off his neck because when he shot the dude, some blood splattered back at him. Now Tariq's waking up in his dorm. Zeke's in there. The two of them are talking about if Tariq will have time to do Zeke's work. He's supposed to be tutoring Zeke, but Zeke actually wants him to do his work. I think he's gonna pay Tariq to do his work or something. So, you know, Tariq's willing to do this. Then Tariq gets a text from his grandma and she says, "Call if you want to talk." And he says, "Thanks." Then he texts Epiphany and he says, "I need my cut, hit me up." And then he gets a text from Lauren that says, "Are you around? You want to get coffee?" And of course he starts smiling and he says, "Yeah, where at?" You know, Tariq is going to have his hands full. Seems like Diana likes him already. She's going to be after him, and then Lauren is going to be after him as well. So Lauren and Tariq meet at this coffee shop and they're just talking, and then Lauren tells Tariq that Karadad and Jabari asked her if she could hit him up. She wanted to talk to him about him struggling with the book The Stranger and stuff like that because she heard he didn't read it. And then he explains to her like, "No, look, I did end up reading it." He says he just feels a certain way about the book because the dude in the book murdered somebody, but everybody thinks he's wrong for doing it, but he had his own reasons. And of course he's saying this because he killed Ghost and he feels like nobody would understand why he did it, even though he had his own reasons. And then Lauren tells him to tell them exactly what he told her because they're looking for honesty and they're looking to see who he really is. So Lauren goes to the bathroom and then Sax knocks on the window, and then Tariq goes outside to talk to Sax, and they're just talking about what's going to be happening with Tasha. Sax tells Tariq that that deal that Tasha was supposed to get, the probation, that was all him. So Tariq finds out that wasn't Tamika behind that deal, but it was Sax. So Tariq basically just tells Sax that he better do whatever he can to try to get Tasha out of jail, or he's gonna snitch on Sax and tell everybody that he was at Club Truth that night. Then Zeke and Braden are playing a game and Tariq walks in the room and he asks if he can use Zeke's phone. So then he goes outside and he makes an Instagram live because I guess Zeke has a lot of followers on Instagram, and he pretty much just says how Davis McLean takes his case because he heard of a African-American family in need, and you know, he wants to help the African-American community. So he played this smart. He plays this really smart. This was a smart move. Then we get to Tariq. You know, he's in front of Oliver once again, Karadad and Jabari, and he's explaining exactly how he feels about the book because they gave him a second chance, and he's explaining how he feels about the stranger in the book, about why he did what he did and everything like that. You know, he's being authentic, he's being himself, and they love to see that this time. It seems like they're very impressed. Then we get to Davis McLean, and he's just chilling, drinking his coffee, and then he starts getting texts like crazy. People are asking him about him taking the Tasha St. Patrick case, and then he's all shocked at first, but then he starts smiling. You know, he sees what Tariq did, and he thinks that was a smart move on Tariq's behalf. So then he calls Tariq like, "Where do you want to meet?" So then they end up meeting, and he says to Tariq, "You forced my hand." So we see Tariq came up with $50,000, and Davis tells him that you have 1 week. This will buy you 1 week. So he has to come up with $450,000 more dollars. Then Davis goes to meet Tasha and he says, "You raised that boy?" Because he's very impressed. Tariq really impressed him. So he's talking to Tasha about the case, and he tells Tasha that you need to tell the truth. No matter what, you have to tell the truth. So she tries to say Andre Coleman once again, and he says, "No, it was not Andre Coleman. You know, the forensics came back, everything came back, and it was not Andre Coleman." So Davis tells Tasha something that Tariq told him to tell her. Tariq told Davis McLean to tell Tasha that, you know, if she loves him, to tell the truth because he's not afraid for her to tell the truth anymore. And Tariq saying that let Davis McLean know right away that it was Tariq that pulled the trigger, so he knows the truth. And Tasha says, "Are you sure that he said that?" So he says, "Yes, I'm sure, so you need to tell the truth." So then we get to the courtroom, and this is when it gets chaotic. Chaotic as hell. So, you know, they go in front of the judge, McLean and Tasha, and this is when Tasha talks. It seems like she's gonna tell the truth, and then she ends up naming your boy Tommy Egan. And this was the biggest mistake ever. I just have a feeling Tommy Egan's gonna come after her now. It's pretty much a fact that he's coming after her. He does not like snitches. And I thought for a minute when I seen Sax walk in the room that she was gonna name Sax. That's what she really should have did. But whatever, you know, Tasha's gonna be a dead woman now. So they end up dropping the murder charges on Tasha, and then Sax comes up there and arrests her for the queen pin statue or the kingpin statue or whatever. So they're gonna try to blame the entire ghost operation on Tasha. Because if you guys remember, I explained this earlier in the video that John Mock and Stephen Ott, they wanted Tasha to go down for everything, the drug operation, because James St. Patrick was in the Democratic Party and they don't want him to look bad. Because when you have power and when you're a person coming from power like that, you get protected no matter what. So they want to protect James St. Patrick's name. Then Tasha gets escorted back to her cell, and the guard, she's all laughing like, "I knew you would be back." So then we see Sax in his office, and it seems like he's kinda upset about what he did, but he feels like he had no choice. And then we see Tariq in the library, and he's just sitting there doing Ezekiel's work. And then we see him look up Lorenzo Tejada. He wants to see exactly who this family is that he's dealing with. So we're gonna see Tariq and Monet and everybody in the Tejada family definitely link up in the future. He looked them up because he wanted to know who he's gonna be dealing with. It's a picture of Lorenzo. He's in his jumpsuit, and then Monet's right there on the left. It shows their pictures, and it seems like it's a family of criminals. So Tariq is starting to learn this, and he's definitely gonna learn about them in the future. But this is the end of the episode. Overall, man, this was a super solid episode. I thought it was a great way to start Power Book 2 Ghost. I thought this episode was incredible. I can't wait for the next episode. This episode right here, obviously we seen no ghost in sight. It seems like he's officially dead. Some people are still stuck on the idea that Ghost is alive, but it's safe to say now that he's officially dead. I don't know why people keep on saying, yes, he's alive. No, he's dead. But this episode seriously was a good ass episode, and I can't wait for the next episode. It seems like I can go on and on about this Power Book 2 Ghost spinoff, but you know, I don't want to make it too long. I already been talking all day on this video. I didn't even want to make it this long, but this episode was super good. It was a solid ass episode, and I can't wait for the next one. Make sure you guys leave your theories, comments, predictions, everything down below in the comment section. Keep supporting your boy, and I'll be continuing to bring y'all Power Book 2 Ghost content in the future. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you can never miss a video. Let me get out of here, y'all. It's your boy Futuristic Mike, and I'll talk to y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.